Hello and welcome to our CS370 video presentation. Today we'll be discussing the progress of our scriptable text adventure game engine through the architectural spike. Just a disclaimer, the person talking at certain points will have their name displayed in the top right corner of the screen. Alright, let's begin. Before we began coding our project, we did a lot of research. First, we researched text adventure games such as Lost Pig and Zork to understand the basic commands and mechanics in them. The games we researched had a lot of things in common. For example, the walk command, which allowed you to walk from certain areas, score, inventory, enemies, and the die command, allowing you to quit at any time. We then researched Inform 7, which is a scriptable engine as well. It uses its own language that mimics English to allow the user to create a story. During our research, we created a small demo from the engine where the player could walk back and forth between two rooms and try to pick up a crate.
Vital tools were implemented in our software engineering. We are using Python because it is portable and third-party libraries are very easy to include. The author will create their script using Python as well, so it could easily be embedded into our engine. Atom is a text editor with many open source extensions such as code completion, embedded terminal, autosave, and many more that can be easily searched for through the editor itself. GitHub is a visual control platform that allows each collaborator to maintain deployed code while also implementing new features through separate branches. Google Drive is a web service that allows us to collectively update, share, and work on documents. Slack is a central platform for group collaboration and communication. It has many extensions that allow for organization and version control, such as extensions for GitHub and Google Drive. Lucidchart is a web service used for collaborative project design. It is a very useful tool for building complex solutions while also maintaining an up-to-date design structure. Ubuntu and VirtualBox. Our first step toward our project was getting an appropriate environment where we can all accomplish work in unison without unnecessary hiccups. Excellent environment for writing and running Python.
Our group has set goals that we plan to meet not only for the architectural spike, but for the future development of this project. Goals that we have met for the architectural spike include plans to work towards creating an easily extensible codebase, and we've also added features to create different areas, items, transitions to areas, and a player to exist in the world. We've also coded an interaction between the player and the engine, making the game technically playable. We had an unmet goal for the spike, which was the ability for the author to create an item for the player to work with. We are currently still working on that. And our future goals include creating enemies, scores, items, inventory, and other customizable endgame scenarios. We want to allow for embedded scripts to be executed on certain events. We plan to design a GUI for a more user-friendly experience. And finally, we plan to implement functionality for packing up a completed story to be played.
We will now discuss the initial plan design. In the initial plan design, we had several classes, such as the room, door, player, and inventory class. We also had the author parser. This parser was going to process strings entered by the author in order to create their game. This was supported through the command line. As well as the player parser, which read the commands entered by the player from the command line, such as look, take, go, in order to continue the game. Now we have our first implementation, which was a non-scriptable engine and allowed the author to use the command line to create a world. It was very minimal in features and had low extensibility, so we decided to retire that implementation and move towards a more scriptable text engine. Further experimenting tested multiple approaches aiming for the most extensible solution, and tested various code structures that would later allow for complex scripting.
And now John will show you the final design and demo of our current engine.
So here we have our final design for the architectural spike. We decided to go with this approach because it will make everything much more extensible in the future. So basically we have an author that has access to everything through a parser, and what will happen is the author will create a world with our engine, and then once they are done with the world, they will send the world to the parser so that it can be played by the player. A world can have many areas, each area consisting of 4 directions. A world can have one player, and a world can have many transitions. The transitions will be placed in the directions that are in each area, so an area can have north, east, south, and west. Each of those directions can have a transition, such as a door. We plan for the future to implement items and actions that can be fired off on events. So here we have the final implementation of our design. First, I'll go over the methods that the author has access to. The author is able to initialize a world with a name and a player name, both which have default values. but can be set, as I've set mine to a beautiful world, maybe I should look around, and the player name as Johnny. They're able to set the start position provided they give an area name. They're able to make a new area with a name and a description. In my case, I have made 4 new areas: the forest, quarry, trail, and river. And they are able to make a new transition between those areas, provided a name, an area that it is in, a destination that it leads to, and a direction to be placed in that area. So a door in the north, for instance. And whether or not it is a two-way transition, so whether or not the player should be able to go through the door and come back through or not. So I will show you the world I have made. I have 4 new areas. I set the start to the quarry, and I have made 3 transitions: a portal in the south of the forest that leads to the quarry, a portal in the west of the quarry that leads to the trail, and a one-way ladder in the west of the trail that leads to the river. So let's take a look at how that functions. A beautiful world, maybe I should look around. So I will look as suggested. It looks like I can go north or south. Oh, west, I mean. Go north. So when I type go north and I click enter, it will execute the move player method, and it will move them in that direction. Okay, so I see a portal in the south. Let's see, it goes south. Alright, I'm back into the quarry. Just to show you, if I type look, it will display what is in the area I'm in, and by default, when you arrive at a new area, it will look for you and display the area. So let's go west, because I've already gone north. Okay, it appears I've encountered a grizzly. I should probably get out of here. I will go west to the ladder. Oh, it looks like I have maybe escaped the grizzly, but I might drown because the ladder was one way, and now I'm stuck in a river. So, yep. That's all the functionality we have right now, but we're definitely looking forward to the future. This is going to be a really fun project.